Stop posting content that sounds good, but doesn't convert. Your content problem is really a strategy problem. ViralGen turns your idea into hook scripts, audience insight, conversion strategy. Get niche-aware output in seconds. Free gets you started. Pro unlocks scripts, agency unlocks full cash bridge strategy. Start your free trial, getviralgen.io.
Drowning in content chaos? ViralGen is the lifeboat. Type in a biz idea, pick niche, audience, platform, goal, tone, then hit generate. Boom! Hooks pop up like magic. Pro scripts and agency strategies? Locked and loaded. Dive into metrics like a pro. It's like having a content wizard in your pocket. Start a free trial at getviralgen.io and let the AI do the heavy lifting.
Struggling to keep up with content trends? ViralGen AI platform is the game changer. Log in, upload, boom! Instant viral-worthy content ideas. With its AI-driven insights and creative prompts, it's like having a genius content buddy who never sleeps. Perfect for creators craving fresh, engaging posts without the burnout. Tried it once? Now it's like caffeine for creativity. Dive in and level up your content game today.
Hi, Tobias. How are you?
Hello, happy to meet you.
It's great to meet you. Thank you very much for being on my show.
I am pleased to be on. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Definitely. It's an honor for me. So I've gone through your profile. I can see you're doing great work. So I thought to tell about your work to my audience.
Well, thanks very much. I'm mostly retired, but I'm still writing and kind of starting a new career. So it's nice to be on and be able to talk about that.
So before talking more about you and your work, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Sure, absolutely. I've had a long career in show business. I started out teaching in college at University of Pittsburgh, teaching acting, directing, and that kind of thing. And then I moved to New York City and immediately became a manager and co-producer for long-running off-Broadway and Broadway plays, The Fantastics, Sweeney Todd, Oh Calcutta, things like that. And eventually moved to working with magicians. And for 35 years, I worked with two of the top magicians in the world, not the best known magicians, but two of in the world of magic they were. One was Jeff McBride, the other was Marco Tempest. McBride worked, we produced shows in New York and Atlantic City and Las Vegas and Monte Carlo for many years, and arts festivals around the world. Marco Tempest worked mostly in the corporate magic market, doing huge general session meetings for corporations here and there, product launches, that kind of thing. And more recently, he went into speaking. So he's got 6 or 7 global TED Talks of him performing high-tech magic. He always described what he did as I use video, design, illusion stuff to create the world that is just out of reach of current technology. This is what tomorrow might look like. So we were doing virtual reality magic before virtual reality was a thing. We were doing augmented reality magic before that was really a thing that was available. Now he's done things with drones for the last 4 or 5 years. And I had to send him video recently of some of the drone in China, the things of the giant dragons flying in the sky and kind of thing. Said, look, you started all this. Look what you did. So I got to work with really, really interesting theatrical magicians who were cutting edge, doing things in the world of magic, something more than just card tricks. And I did that up until, 3 years ago, when I officially, also I was one of the founders for the Jeff McBride's, the McBride Magic and Mystery School, which is the #1 school for magicians in the world. And I helped him put that together and taught there for a number of years. So it's been a very interesting life. It's taken me around the world several times and got to work with some fascinating, interesting people.
So you're retired now.
Basically, I'm retired, but I wrote 2 books last year, and I do some speaking online and things like this, but also corporate talks, saying this is how magic works. This is how actors think. And if you're a corporate CEO, maybe you could give better presentations if I helped you. Or maybe you could be more innovative if you thought like a magician. If you accepted the idea that we put reality together in our brains mostly. There is something out there. I'm not like the Matrix where, it's all pumped in by machine. There is, and it comes in through our senses, but this much comes in through our senses out of this much that's out there. And then we turn it into reality that we can understand. Because we're designed to survive. We're not designed to understand. And if you change what's up here, the way you put what comes in together, you can get a different reality, which is why some people are poor all their lives. Some people never get educated. Some people make $1 billion. They have a different reality up here. And you can change that for yourself based on things that we know as actors and magicians, and the way magicians don't really fool you. You fool yourself. They just say, let's look down this pathway instead of that pathway that you're used to looking down to, and you see things differently. So that's what's fascinating me right now. That whole pursuit of how do we change minds in order to change reality.
Tell me about your school. You
Yeah.
have founded your magic school.
Mm-hmm. It's
What
called
is it
the
about?
McBride Magic and Mystery School. The website is magicalwisdom.com. We offer 3 and 4 day classes, sometimes 1 week long classes. It's not like a college where you go for 6 months, but we gather anywhere from 8 to 80 people. We have 2 or 3 conferences that are larger, sometimes online. When the pandemic started, we started teaching online and discovered we could reach a lot more people more affordably than we could for the live classes, because the live classes have to cost $500 or as much as $1,000, and people have to fly to Las Vegas and live in a hotel, and so they're very expensive, and only a few people can afford them. But online, we can do a class for $120 for 3 nights and have 50 people in the class. And so we've been able to reach a lot more people that way. And we teach everything from storytelling and teaching better story to presentation techniques, to card tricks, to grand illusion magic. And Jeff McBride still does one-on-one sessions where one of the best, most knowledgeable magicians in the world. He used to consult with Lance Burton and David Copperfield and Penn and Teller, and they would go to him to learn better magic. And now students can book him and he teaches them online. And it's very well attended and keeps going and growing.
So tell me about your books that you have wrote.
Okay, the last one is, it probably won't show up because of keying. Yeah, it's Wired for Wonder. That's a book for magicians. I came from the theater world, from Broadway musicals and plays, into the world of magic. Magic is theater. Theater is basically, if there's a live person in front of another live person, that's theater. One's performing. Whereas film is not theater because it's a live person in front of a camera, and then it's live people in front of a projection. You can't really interact. But in theater, there's a real interaction. I can see the audience can see me. I can hear them applaud. They can see me respond to that. And magic is that, but it's a really special kind of theater, because most theater, most art, the artist creates a world and invites you to watch. In magic, I invite you into the world. I say, here's this fantastic world, and here is a deck of cards, and you can reach out and take one. Do you dare to come into the magical world, or to let me into yours? It's an interesting crossover in the world of art. One of the only places in the world of art, sometimes music's that way too, where the audience interacts directly with the artist. Because usually you create something in private or something while you're on a film set and hope the audience will like it. But in theater and in magic, it's immediate, in your face. And that's always excited me. The Wired for Wonder book is about using the techniques of actors and scene designers and directors to make the magician's performances better. Well, most people who become magicians get fascinated by how a trick works when they're 13 or 14 years old or younger. And it only occurs to them after they performed for a few years that, oh, I'm a performer. I am an actor. I'm playing this role of a magician for people. How can I make the performance better? And it takes a while to get that. So that's what that book is all about. And it talks about all the different kinds of theatrical situations a magician can find themselves in. They can perform in a restaurant at your table, or they can perform on the street, or they can perform in a theater or a big casino. There are many different kinds of theater, just as there are with other theater. You can be a little tiny theater, you can be on the street, you can be whatever. And then what are the advantages and disadvantages, and what are the considerations in each one of those situations? Because like if I'm a street performer, I have to get the audience to come in. I have to hold on to them. I have to convince them that what they've seen is good enough so they'll want to give me money. And it's totally different situation than in a theater where somebody else advertises, somebody else sells the tickets, they come in and they sit in the dark and they're a captive audience until the show is over. So they're totally different, but many things are the same in both situations. The way you interact with the audience, the way the audience interacts with you. And so that's Wired for Wonder. The other one, most recent, is The Performer's Edge, which is not sure, there it is on the keying. That's saying to business people, like I started when I introduced myself, that, you know what, as actors, we know things that might be useful to you. As magicians, we know things like as a human being, your conscious mind can only pay attention to one thing at a time. So you've heard the term misdirection for magicians. We usually think that means look over there while I do something secret here. But in fact, you can only pay attention to one thing. There's a man named Richard Wiseman, if you go on YouTube and look him up, who pretends to do a card trick. But when he rolls it back, you notice that while he's doing the card trick, he's changed his costume. He's put on glasses. His hair is a different color. And you didn't notice when he was doing it because you were paying attention to the card trick. There's a famous one where there are people playing basketball and they say, pay attention to how many times the white team passes the ball. And you count and you count and you get it and you're there 12 times. You say, okay, did you notice the gorilla running across the court in the middle of it? Nobody notices there. You go back and run it. There's a gorilla, but you didn't see it because your attention was focused on the thing it was focused on. And consciously, we can only focus on one thing. Subconsciously, your subconscious mind is doing 100 things at once. It's running your heartbeat and your respiration and your digestion and all these other. But the conscious mind only can do one thing. Well, that's important if you're a marketer. Marketers and politicians know this. Look at me, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And no mention of the bad things they've been doing that they don't want you to see because they've learned that lesson. Pay attention. If I can get you to pay attention to the thing that I want you to, I control your reality, the reality that you put together up here. That's powerful if you're running a business. So it's that kind of thing that's in The Performer's Edge. It's saying another thing is transformation. We all go to seminars and workshops and learn to meditate and exercise to become a better person. This is who I am now. I want to become that person. And it takes 6 months. But as an actor, I can be in the wings having a conversation with the stage manager in my own persona. And my cue comes up and I walk on stage and I'm the King of England. I'm such and such. I'm a different, and it transforms immediately. Well, the actors developed certain techniques to do that. And a good actor believes in the character that they are at the moment. Somehow they know they're acting, but you feel like, yes, this is who I am. Those techniques can be learned for a CEO, for an executive, someone who has to appear as a certain person that they might not be yet. So that's what The Performer's Edge is about. And
So who all your readers are for your book?
Um, well, for the Wired for Wonder, it's performing magicians. It's people who have attended our magic school. There are probably between 30 and 50,000 people who call themselves magicians on the planet. So it's a very small market. And out of that 30 to 50,000, I sell 1,000 or 2,000 of each one of my books. I have 5 books for magicians now. Performer's Edge, I'm looking for a bigger market. I want people who have founded a startup. I want business executives, the people that I used to see give talks when we used to do the big events, the corporate events that I used to go to with Marco Tempest, because we do something for Hewlett Packard or Pfizer. And the CEO would go out and talk for an hour, and it was usually really boring. And then we'd come on to wake people up again. And then the marketing director would come on, and they were a little bit more interesting, but we'd have to come on and wake them up again. And that was our job as the performers. My job is to teach the CEO to be more exciting. So you don't need the magician to come or the comedian to come on and wake your audience up later. And those are the people that I really want that book for. The people leading new enterprises, new organizations who want to create success by thinking different. You know, it's sort of Steve Jobs was a really, really interesting CEO, and his theme was think different. Yes, everybody else in the computer industry had been selling beige boxes to accountants and people like that. He said no, they should be there for creative people. They should be there for people who want to change the world. But my favorite advertisement of all times, you've probably seen, it's here's to the crazy ones. And he talks about Albert Einstein and Martin Luther King Jr. and Mohandas Gandhi, how they changed the world by thinking different. These are people who should not have been able to change the world. If you look at their social position, but they did. And they did it by thinking differently, by not remaining in the mental ruts that we mostly sit in. So I'm looking for people who want to become like that. That's who that book's for.
So what all they can collect from this book?
That kind of techniques, how to build better stories around what they do, not only for the market that they're serving, but for themselves, for the teams that they work with, that kind of thing. How they can, because we create our world out of stories. We tell ourselves, I did this and then I did that and then that happened and then that happened. That's a story. How can I make it a better story? And so there's a whole section in there about what are the best stories. Who's the hero in your story? Sometimes the hero of the story is the one we meet first. I have an interview with a friend who does lots of corporate speaking and storytelling. He says, in the movie Finding Nemo, Nemo's the first character we meet, so he's the hero of the story. But if the first character we met was that eagle trying to feed their babies, we'd have an entirely different story. The eagle would still be hunting the fish, all of that would still happen, but we'd see it from the perspective of the eagle. So you learn to tell stories from different points of view. You learn to tell stories with different motivations. What is the point of the story? What does the hero really want? What does the hero have to overcome? And if you figure out what our company has to overcome, who is our enemy? What's our purpose? Who is our market? Who are we really serving? And you learn to think about those things in different ways and tell different stories to yourself. You change the outcome for your company. So that's the kind of person it's for.
So your experiences being in different roles and working in different places, how does that feel today when you're writing this book?
Well, we live in a world that's changing so fast around us. Everything is changing. Economies are changing. The power structure of the world is changing. The United States I grew up in is not the United States today, which is why I'm not living in the United States today, partly. But it's all about the ability to change quickly, to deal with what is happening around you and not hang on unnecessarily to things that you want to hang on to. It's getting rid of that sunk cost fallacy of, well, that's the way the world should be, but it's not that way today. So I need to be able to change myself to deal with the world. My favorite saying these days is that I think it's from Native Americans, but it's probably been around. It says, "Do not rage against the storm. Learn to enjoy dancing in the rain." And that's kind of what these books are about. It's like, we live in a world where AI is taking over. What do we do when there are no more jobs? How do humans cope with being human? What do businesses do when we don't have 1,000 human beings working for us? We have 10 human beings and 1,000 robots. How does that change our thinking? What do we, and how are we serving markets? You know? So it's very much about that dancing with change. My favorite characters are, I call them wizards. One of my books is The Wizard's Way. And it starts with Merlin, Merlin and King Arthur, if you've heard that set of legends about the creation of modern England. Merlin is on the surface a magician, but underneath he's just someone who thinks different. He thinks, oh, we have this kind of people living in England and this kind of Romans and Pictish. They were the pagans. And they're at war with each other all the time. But if I could get one of these to marry one of these and have a son, I could create a king who would unite the kingdoms. And he creates King Arthur. And then he educates King Arthur outside the system of education. He educates him because he can do magic by turning him into a bird, turning him into a fish, and saying, see what it's like to see the world from this point of view. See what it's like. So instead of memorizing things, he's having experiences from different perspectives. And then throughout the book, it goes from him to Leonardo da Vinci to Mohandas Gandhi to Martin Luther King Jr. to a woman in San Francisco, Mary Ellen Pleasant, a black woman at the time of the U.S. Civil War, at a time when women were not allowed to own property and blacks weren't allowed to own property. She was a $30 million millionaire in San Francisco. She did it by thinking differently, by stepping outside social norms, by stepping outside financial norms and thinking different. So it's a whole book about people that did this and how you can do it too. It tells a story and then says, okay, here's your exercise for today. Sit down and write down 5 things that do this for you.
So where do you live right now?
Right now,
Where are you from?
I live in Placencia Village, which is on the tip of the Placencia Peninsula in Belize. Belize is on the Caribbean, just south of Mexico. So It's basically on the Caribbean Ocean. I was swimming earlier this morning in the Caribbean Ocean.
So you moved from US?
No longer in the U.S. I may go back to the U.S. someday, but not in the near future.
So what all going on apart from what you're doing now? How are the things?
I'm getting ready to begin doing more corporate speaking myself, and conducting some workshops online for different corporations, mostly on communications, on different ways of thinking about communicating. My talent over the years has been helping performers get better fast, and to say, okay, you're stumbling over your words, you're not making eye contact, you're doing this, you're not doing that. Let's try this, let's try that. And I can do that with corporate executives in this situation online. So I've been doing some of that. and helping them think about doing better performances, doing better talks. Every talk is both. You have a purpose for a talk, but it's got to be a show too. And so how do I make you define your purpose in a way that will be effective and turn it into a great show, which means a great story. And that's something I've done for a number of companies recently and really enjoy doing. Because I can make a
So,
fair amount of money in a couple of hours.
so so right now you're completely into writing books and looking to work in corporates.
Yeah, as a consultant, advisor, workshop leader, that kind of thing.
So what's your experience? What's your background?
Well, the background is all those years with magicians, directing their shows, producing their shows, attending these corporate events where I got to meet the people who I could help now, and helping their presentations be great by putting bookends around them through my clients and the performances that we would build to make their events successful. Yeah, and basically that's it. I loved working with magicians because when I was on Broadway, I was a manager. And Broadway is famously a unionized business. So if you're a lighting operator, you don't talk to the sound operator or the actors or the managers or what. You're in your union. They're in their unions. As a manager, I wasn't allowed to touch a prop. I wasn't allowed to talk to an actor about their performance. When I started working with magicians, I was allowed to do everything, which I had been trained to do. By the time I got to New York, I had been an actor and a director and a scene designer and built sets and built costumes and done everything there was to do except run a business. Then I had to learn to run a business by running a business, by experience, without having gone to school for it. And that gave me a different perspective. That's the background that now really supports what I have to offer to the businesses.
So what is that thing that in your profession as a magician made you to draw the attention of an individual and look at your performance?
Um, I think that was I think it was that my original intent was to become a performer myself. And I realized that I was going to be a pretty good performer, but I didn't want to be a pretty good performer in a small theater company somewhere. I wanted to work at the top of the profession. I wanted to work on Broadway. And as a manager, I could do that. But I was frustrated because the performer and the director were not allowed to do that. As soon as I started working with magicians, I was allowed to do that. And I realized, again, I'm really good at this. I am really good at taking this magician who is already a really good magician and making them a great magician, changing the art of magic through my talents. And after 35 years of doing that, I want to do it with a bigger market, of something that can make a bigger difference, you know? Because as I said earlier, there's 30 or 40,000 magicians. There's a million businesses out there, all of whom could become better and serve the world better. So that's my impetus for taking the skill that I realized I had and saying, let's spread it out there. They could make use of this too, and it will make the world better.
So can you once again mention your book that you are that you wanted the business CEOs and founders
Sure,
or
sure. It's really two. It is see if I can make them appear here. This is The Wizard's Way, which is, yeah, there we go. The Wizard's Way. And the other one is The Performer's Edge. The Wizard's Way is the one that talks about all the different characters throughout history, how they thought different. The Performer's Edge is actors and magicians tricks for business people. They're both on Amazon. They're easy to find. The easiest way to find them is look up my name, Tobias Beckwith, on Amazon, and you see all my books. And but
Okay. So can you share your website to my podcast listeners? Can you spell it?
sure. The easiest one is my name, tobiasbeckwith.com. TOBIASBECKWITH.com. And that leads you
Sure.
everywhere else. There's links and that kind of thing. Also, if you find me on LinkedIn or Facebook or one of those, just click my bio and there's a links page that it will take you to. So you can find all my different websites and all the books and where they are and that kind of thing.
I'll put your website link on on the screen, and
Fantastic.
also
Thank you.
so that people can able to see it and can able to go through it and can able to get it.
That
And
would be wonderful. Thank you.
at last, what's your as a magician, as a person who is into multiple fields and now becoming an author? So, what's your observation about my work? Have you seen any videos of mine?
I saw a couple of your videos. When you invited me on, I watched one with somebody from Amazon, and I forget what the other one was. But I'm curious about how you got started doing this and how you decide to reach out to different people. Because you're based in India,
So,
right?
yeah, I'm from South India.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
it's
my
a city called
son-in-law lives in
Hyderabad,
Delhi, but yeah.
Delhi. Okay,
But what's your
okay.
background?
I did masters in software engineering, also bachelors in computer science and engineering. Right now, I'm working as a DevOps engineer for a London company. I work in technology. Technology industry is my main thing. And apart from this, this is my company, the Smart Service Thoughts, and I interview
Yeah.
here company chief executive officers I have done more than 870 podcast interviews and more than 100 countries experts I have interviewed and hundreds of chief executive officers, founders I have interviewed for my podcast and I work with them. I
Fantastic.
share projects,
Yeah.
I work with them and yeah, I have done number of interviews and just now I've
Thank you.
completed couple of interviews and this is my third interview today. So
Fantastic. Wow. Well, it's very late. It's almost tomorrow for you, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost
Well,
night
one
for
of the
me.
high points of my career was I lived in the San Francisco Bay Area for a while. I got to do an 8-week workshop for magician executives at Apple at the headquarters. And that was
Okay.
great fun working with those people because they're very smart and
Smart.
they
Yeah,
think different. You know, they
correct.
have to. That's part of their
Correct.
job. But
Job.
that was really fun working with them.
So me having conversations like this with different executives and coming from different backgrounds, completely different countries. You know,
Yeah.
you have checked only a couple of videos, but there are hundreds of interviews that I have done with hundreds of highly
Fantastic.
qualified people and C-level executives I've done.
Yeah.
So me having this kind of conversations and exploring their business and exploring their career, how this kind of and diversified conversations is going to be
Yeah.
helpful for me and in my personal growth and in my career, as per your observation.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So if I want to go watch 2 or 3 more, which ones should I watch of your interviews?
All are like every person is unique, right?
Yeah.
So
But you must have
I,
favorites. There must be somebody that really changed the way you think about the world.
I think the globe is something that that you can't say this country or this
Sure.
place or this food or
Yeah.
there is no, because world is so
Yeah.
beautiful because there is diversity,
It is.
there is
Absolutely.
a lot of difference, so you enjoy seeing differences. So
Yeah.
one person is good at something and other person is good at something. One country is
Sure.
good at something and other country, they have some natural resources and naturally,
Yeah.
they got something. So comparing and saying best, I feel I that's not correct. Saying someone
Yeah.
is favorite. I mean, it is.
That's a really good answer to that. I know that I discover more traveling the world and going places where people live differently and think differently than I grew up living and thinking is eye opening and mind expanding. It really expands the way you think about what's possible in the world. And
So my mother told me to think different, to do
yeah,
different, and
yeah,
be different, and every day, every minute, every second, try to do something that you have not done before.
yeah,
So that is that you have to be extremely. Human beings are naturally curious beings. Like they are
yes,
very curious. Like they want to know. So when you start exploring, that curiosity makes you to explore things. And when you
absolutely,
explore things, you will know different things that exist in the world. So that gives you a lot of knowledge, information, and that
absolutely.
makes you a better person. It changes your personality, develops a
Yeah,
great character for yourself, right?
absolutely.
So
Yeah,
that was my mother's advice. So what's see, you have done a lot of work in your career. You have
yeah,
worked in different roles. You have been in in a
hmm,
managerial role, and also now you are trying to uh, say things that you have learned through your books now, and
hmm,
also with the speaking and the conferences, and with your
yeah.
next goal that you have. So what's your observation about my project that I'm interviewing this kind of thing?
I think it's great that you've gone from software engineering to, I mean, expanding, not that you've left that, but that you're doing all of these interviews with different people and doing your part to expand people's curiosity. I think that's so important. Um, I went to school in the US where there was a very regimented education system. And now I look back at it and go, they were training us to be workers in factories. And how awful because they drummed curiosity out of us. I saw an article recently that 4-year-olds ask 50 questions an hour. 8-year-olds only ask 3 questions an hour because they've gone to school and been told to shut up. And I just think it's so important that one of my favorite Albert Einstein quotes, he says, I'm not really smarter than anybody. I'm just more curious. And Leonardo da Vinci was similar. He said, curiosity is the greatest superpower we have as human beings. Why don't why aren't we encouraged to ask more questions instead of less? And this venue, this podcasting is a great way to do that. And you meet different people and you come up with different questions, and that has to be good for you, for your mind, and you're spreading it, you're sharing it. So I think it's wonderful.
So can I put this conversation on my podcast with your permission?
Say that again.
Can I put this clip on my podcast with your permission?
Oh, absolutely. Anything we did here today, feel free. Spread it far and wide.
And thank you very much again, Tobias, for giving me opportunity and letting me know about your work and my audience about your work, and also the books that
Thank
you
you.
have wrote and how it will be useful for
Thank you.
business owners. I believe that it reaches to many people.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm happy to know you. I hope we'll stay in touch a little bit. Would be
Definitely,
great.
definitely, we'll be connected. Thank you again, Tobias.
I'll teach you a magic trick next time I see you.
That will be an honor for me.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Take
Great.
care.
Thank you. You too. I'm
Bye-bye.
not